We're here by Family Food Center here across from IJ in West Grand Avenue with Mike Hittner, and we're gonna see what he's got to talk about his store. Okay, Mike.
Probably should start, Vern, with the background and how the business started.
Sure.
My father started Rapid's Feed and Supply in 1946, and we ran it for many years. And he had also heard Lady Eve Balfour and Sir Albert Howard talk. They gave a presentation. There were English people that gave a presentation on organic farming. And so he got interested in organic fertilizers. In 1948, he started hanging organic fertilizer. So kind of a natural outcrop of that gradually over the years was that we started adding health foods. And people would know that we ordered different things and say, well, Frank, the next time you order something, order a bottle or two for me. So it started out with just one shelf in our store, the feed store, and it gradually grew. In 1978, we moved here to this location when they built the mall. We relocated over to here, and then we expanded and built the store like we see it today, pretty much. And the feed is in the back end, and the natural foods are in the front half of the store. So, and over the years, we've kind of cut back on the feed business because that's a smaller part of our business now. We concentrate more on the health food business. And so, right now, we're mostly all health food business. So we do handle some seeds and some garden seeds and seeds for the lawn and that sort of thing, a little bit of fertilizer and that sort of thing. About 95% of our business is health foods business.
And you handle onions, set onions?
That sort of thing in the springtime, yes. Onion sets, potatoes, garden seeds. We're getting winding down on that time of the year right now.
Right now, yeah.
But it's been a cold spring, so I think it'll probably go a little later than usual. But usually by the second week of June, they're pretty much all done by at that time.
Oh, yeah. What I want to ask is this building. There was a building across the road.
Yeah.
Was that where you started? You were saying?
Well, it was right about where Craney's is now,
Right.
or Yonkers. That's where the business started over there. It was between the railroad tracks behind the old city hall.
Right.
And Felker Brothers was over there across the city halls. Murray's fixed autos and stuff like that. Fisher Dairy was right across the tracks from us, and we started over there. My dad did in 1946. I joined him in 1971 when I got out of the university, and of course I've been working here ever since. So 40 years for me this year. So So came over here. This used to be the old Erickson gas station. My father purchased it.
Oh yeah.
In 1978, and he fixed it up, and he added on the steel building, which is the building we're standing in right now as we're talking, Vern. And this was added on at the same time as we purchased the property. And this is where our health foods expanded into this part, and the front, the Erickson gas station is all health foods, and in the back part here is the feed and supply business was back in there. So,
what year was that when you started the store here?
1978. Yeah.
1978.
The mall was built.
Oh.
We moved here, and we've been here ever since. So my dad always, he was looking around for locations. He looked at the old Torque Lumber Company business.
Right, yeah.
And he looked at a number of other locations in town, and he liked this because it was on the main street.
Right.
And it faced south. He was one of those old timers that says, I don't want every time I open my door up to get the wind blowing in the door.
Right.
Northwest wind in wintertime. So he decided, I want to face south and get the sun's rays and solar heat. And so he was kind of forward thinking. I don't think I would have thought of that, but he did.
Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't think of that.
Yeah.
I mean, being in business, they probably knows.
Yes.
On account of the other building was, I don't know how that was. I
set,
remember it, but I don't.
It was set at east and west.
Was it?
East and west, and we faced south for our entryway there too. So probably got used to it there. Originally, when he started over at the old feed company over here that's just north of us, that Metcalf Lumber's in now. He was a manager there for the feed business for General Mills. He was kind of a troubleshooter. He started in Minnesota, and he'd go to wherever there was a store that wasn't performing up to par.
Oh yeah.
He built it up, and then after he got done here, he built it up, got the business back sound, and it was profitable business again. Then they wanted to move him to Pennsylvania, and he didn't want to go to Pennsylvania. By that time, now he had 3 children, and he wanted to stay in this area, and so that's when he started his own business in 1946. Otherwise, he worked for General Mills over with the Metcalf Lumber building. is right now.
What year did he start over there? 26, you said? Or?
He started over there in 44.
Oh, 44.
And then he worked 2 or 3 years for them, and then he started his own business.
Oh, yeah. He started all by himself, or did he have?
Yeah, he started by himself. He had, 2 other employees. He had a person who was out on the road selling feed so that they could sell it to the farmers and go out and talk to the farmers. And then he was inside, and then he had one inside person besides himself. And then, of course, as he expanded a little bit and got into the Surge Melker business, he got his brother joined him. He handled the northern Wood County. He worked out of Marshfield, and my dad worked out of the Southwood County area. And they had the milking machine business, the Surge business, for about 25 years. They sold Surge Melkers.
Oh.
You could kind of see the writing on the wall in the mid 70s, where either the farmer had to get bigger or get out of it, and they either had to have a milking parlor and all this. And the financing was always an issue. He didn't have enough background to do the self-financing, so it was hard sometimes for the farmers to get financing through the bank. So he just decided about that time to just eliminate the Surge Melker business and the milking machine business about 1974, 75.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a few years back, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I never thought we'd live to see this day either. I mean, it's never know, things change.
We got to change with the times, as they say, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it leaves you behind.
Yeah, way behind, you betcha. Is there any, from the store back years, is there any newer stuff that come up on the market for you?
Oh, certainly, yeah. Natural food business is expanding very quickly all the time, especially in the supplement business, the vitamin and mineral business.
Right.
There's always new things coming out all the time, and people are always asking for it. So you got to keep ahead of the people, more or less. So you got to do a lot of reading and research and background sort of thing. So when something new comes up, you're ready to go with it. Or if they ask about it, you'll be able to tell them what you think of it.
Right.
And a lot of new things sometimes we don't necessarily handle because we don't believe in them, or we feel that they're, later on time will tell that maybe this wasn't the best thing to have.
Oh,
so
yeah.
We've been careful to kind of screen things so we make sure we get what's best for people. You want to get into trouble down the market and find out, well, we found out that wasn't a good product, we shouldn't have been handling that. We want to kind of preempt that by screening things first.
Yeah, there's things that you got to really, kind of think out so you don't jump ahead in things and do it that isn't really right, either.
You don't want to get into something you shouldn't be in.
Right.
Even though it's lucrative, or maybe it looks like it may be profitable, you got to look at people's health and their interests in the first light. The profit comes down the ladder further.
Right, yeah. Have you got any stuff in here for diabetics, or?
Oh yeah, certainly. We carry a good supply of supplements for diabetics, and we also have some different products that are low in carbohydrates that help, they have to watch carbohydrates. Carbohydrate for a diabetic doesn't matter if it's flour or sugar, it acts the same in their system, so they have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
And we've got lots, as we can see to my right here, maybe you can't see there on the camera, but we have a lot of books, so we have a lot of education for customers. They can find something on diabetes or yeast or water or autism or whatever it might be. We've got a lot of books here that they can take a look at to get more information.
Oh yeah, how about high blood pressure?
Same with high blood pressure. Many supplements and many things that are salt-free, so people that are on salt-restricted diets can find things to eat. Yes.
Sure.
We get a lot of them coming from the hospital after they've been released. They come with a big list of things that they're supposed to avoid or things they can have, and then they got to go through it. You've got to know that yourself from over the past years, with the heart and everything. You've had some issues. You got to kind of watch what you eat now. Not everything is appropriate for a person.
At times you got to kind of be your own doctor, at times a little bit,
I think invariably we're our own best doctor.
Yeah.
We got to listen to our body. If something isn't right, we got to try to adjust it, cut back on something, or add something that makes it right.
Yeah.
Because inevitably, even if you hand it over to a doctor, they can only help you so much, and we're actually responsible for our health personally. A lot of times we like to go to the doctor and give it to him, but he don't want it either.
No, I guess not. Yeah, it's really works in mysterious ways. I mean, the doctor can help you to a certain extent, but what he tells you to do, you got to do it if you want to get well again.
You got to follow maybe dietary restrictions. Maybe you got to avoid certain foods. A lot of people think, well, if I just take a pill, I'm okay. No, not necessarily. You can take all the pills you want. If you aren't following some dietary restrictions or different guidelines, you're going to have trouble. And so if you want to be the healthiest you can, the best is to follow your doctor's advice and read up on things. Reading is good. Educating yourself is excellent.
I know I get out of quite a bit now and I talk to people and we get talking about sugar diabetes, you know, and sometimes I ask them, well, are you on shots or just go by diet? And they say, no, I take a shot. And well, why is that? Well, they say, then I can eat anything I want.
Yeah.
But that's not true.
Yeah,
that's not true.
It's counterproductive. They may think that if they ask the doctor, they know what the doctor said. The doctor says no, but they want to think they can do what they want. Certainly for a while that works for it, but after a while, that pancreas ain't going to be able to handle it. And you're going to get into a worse situation where you end up with a pump or something. And then, unfortunately for some people, then it starts with the no circulation in the extremities, usually the legs and the feet, and then all of a sudden the doctor's got to talk about, unfortunately, amputation in some cases if they don't follow their diets. A lot of those people, and you and I both know, Bert, if they follow those diets, they probably sometimes don't even have to have medication.
Right.
They lose some weight, follow the dietary restrictions, and they'll be in good shape.
Yeah. I know I'm a good example with the doctors and that, and I've had sugar diabetes for about 33 years. And I haven't taken any shots, what you can speak of. Only when I was in the hospital, my sugar count went up. Then they gave me a unit or two, but that's it. But otherwise, I controlled it on a diet and didn't eat no sugar or anything. But at the same time, I like to point it out that it doesn't matter what you eat. It turns into sugar. Eventually, it'll turn into sugar. And sometimes, if you think you're going to get away from it, you eat a lot of it, it's all going to come up to you in the tail end.
You got to kind of do a balancing act with your diet and kind of, well, if you do a little bit more of this, then you got to cut back over here. It's a balancing thing. And you certainly, with 33 years, you've learned it well.
Oh, yes. I know I had my dad had diabetes,
Okay, so it's somewhat hereditary for you.
Right, and then my brother had diabetes. I mean, and they both died with it.
About the same age as you were?
Well, my father died at 60 years old.
Oh, wow.
With sugar diabetes and heart trouble. My brother, Earl, he died at 58.
Wow.
And right now, I got him pretty well beat. I'm 75.
I was going to say, you've got almost 20 years on it.
Yeah. And, and I'm getting along good with my diabetic and the heart problems I had. I'm getting along good with it. I listen, say, maybe 150 to 1,000% to the doctor. When he tells me to do it, I do it.
Yes. That's the kind of patience the doctors like.
Right.
People will listen. And, a person can do a lot for themselves by doing that. If you don't, you may think you're getting away with it, but as we both know, it catches up to you. And then it'll catch up with a vengeance where maybe you can't retrace your steps anymore. You've gone too far.
Well, if you don't listen, if they get you back where you've been there long with your sugar diabetes, and if you go off and keep on going off, it's hard to get back to regulate it again.
Yeah. You get so far, and then after a while, the medications don't work anymore.
Right.
And then you get into the pump or some other way trying to do that. But I know you're probably, I think, Vern, more of an exception. I think most likely more people kind of do what they want to do because they figure they got this medication and they can, like you said before, they can eat what I want to eat now because I'll just take more insulin or something. But it's self-defeating.
That's what they think. They think, well, as long as they're taking the insulin shot, they take maybe 1 or 2 shots a day.
Yeah.
I know one guy that took it 6 shots a day.
Wow.
I mean, he got it bad, and maybe he didn't listen either. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, and of course you can lose arms, you can lose legs.
Yeah. And we know today that the diabetes is fairly rampant. now in society. I think somewhere like about 15% of the people have it, and I think more and more people are getting it, and younger nowadays.
Right.
Much younger than before. Years ago, maybe you got it when you're 50 or, late term diabetes or something like that when you're 50, 55 or something. But nowadays, a lot of times it's down in the 30s they're having problems.
Oh, I seen it beyond that yet. They're 6 years old.
6 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Diabetes.
Oh, yeah. Some they taking one shot a day, some taking two. I mean, and that's bad.
Yeah, some of those children are probably hereditary. It's juvenile diabetes. A lot of those probably are.
Right.
Certainly with our obesity and our children today, I think we're asking for a lot of troubles in the future. I think if we don't get a handle on it, I know Wood County is trying with some, they got some grant money trying to get kids active and have them watch what they eat and how they eat, when they eat, that sort of thing. So I think they're trying that way. Hopefully it'll be successful, because otherwise we've got future generations that are coming up here that are going to have a lot of physical troubles.
Oh, yeah.
And of course we know that gets very expensive for society when you talk about, Medicare and Medicaid and Badger Care and all these other ways. Somebody's got to pay for that, and if you start at a young age, it's going to be very expensive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you bet. And, well, there's a lot of people look at that in different ways. I mean, and you got to take it seriously if you want to, get better or live longer, which the doctors are doing their best to keep people alive more than they did, say, 20, 30 years ago.
I think they got more to work with today.
They got more to work with, right?
We as patients would work half as much with them. We would have a lot to work with too.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, is there anything else you want to add that you got in the store here? Or?
No, just say that, it's kind of a family-run business. My 3 kids work with me. I've got one in school and a couple of them that are off of school. And so I worked with my father for a number of years when I was in school, and then when I graduated from college, I joined him. And so 3 kids work here, so it's a family-run business. And our first concern is youth. Every morning, I always pray that I can help people that help themselves.
Well, sure.
What it involves is empowering them to help themselves. Because if I just tell you what to do,
right,
I'm no better than a doctor. If I can help you to figure out, from what you read and things like that, how you can help yourself, then you can help yourself after that. It's the old axiom, like we know about, you teach the man to fish and he can feed himself forever. If you just give him a fish, he's good for one meal and he's back again hungry. So that's the same sort of thing provides for me too.
Yeah. And in other words, while you're in here, you try to help people with their health or whatever problems they got, you probably have stuff. Right. And that's a good way to go. I mean, and sometimes they don't tell you everything either, you don't know what to tell them. I mean, we're not doctors. We don't pretend to be. No.
And we're not health professionals per se. But a lot of times people are, surprisingly open up a lot too. Because, maybe the doctor's so busy they don't have time to listen.
Right.
You've been at doctors too, and specialists are usually pretty good, got a lot of time. But if you go to a GP, they're so busy, they got somebody waiting.
Right.
They see 6, 7, 8, 10 an hour. So they got about 5 minutes for you. And so how much can you tell them in that 5 minutes? So we have a lot of people that just come in and want to tell us what's happening to them.
Yeah.
And of course, we sit down like we're up here and we listen. And then if we can, provide a little program for them, something that might help them, we'll kind of help them and help them get some reading material or books that'll be helpful for them. Yes.
Yeah, that books and that helps them quite a bit too, to listen to it, and
I'm sure even you with the diabetes and different heart issues, and they probably gave you a bunch of reading too that would be helpful for you.
Yes, they did a lot of.
You probably got a whole library at home.
Yeah, when it comes to the heart, I mean, like myself, 4 years ago, I had open heart surgery. I had
you're a lucky man.
5 bypasses, and then I had a blood clot on top of the heart. They had to cut that out.
You're a lucky man. We're lucky to have you with us.
Yes.
It was touch and go there, I know, for you for a while.
Yeah. Oh, they lost me on a table once.
Yeah.
And they got me back kicking again.
Now the good Lord didn't want you then.
So I mean, I can really thank them up at Marshville. I mean, and that they did a lot for me. And a lot of times when I lay in the hospital, lay in bed, think of these things. Well, hey, he's trying to help me. I'm going to listen. I mean, how many people do you do that? I mean,
you're that close.
Right.
So, I mean, your ears perked up real good after all that.
Oh yes.
You got a second chance.
Yep. And I'm taking that chance all the way through.
Yeah.
I mean, I do anything I can to get better.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty good right now.
Yeah. And you're volunteering a lot with public access.
Right.
And you're playing a lot of music and stuff like that. You're doing things you love and enjoy, and that's the beauty of life.
Yeah, well, see, this year is 50 years of music for me. And if I had to do it over, I'd do it over again. I mean, it's just, I don't know, music is just my priority. I mean,
it's a part of it.
Right.
You wouldn't be you without that music.
No, I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
I know I play accordion and concertina myself, and drums, and accordions, you know how heavy they are. They're about 30 pounds, 27 pounds, But for 4 years, I couldn't even, lift it up or nothing,
Yeah.
And it made me sad. I mean, it hurt that I couldn't play it.
A lot of people were looking forward to it. And,
Right.
And just you looking forward to playing for your own benefit.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't do it then.
Right. Yeah. And, you put, say, 4 hours in. Sometimes I put 5 and 6 hours in. That's done with. I mean, I can't do
Not
that anymore.
type of time anymore.
Yeah. I know when I went out and played with my orchestra years ago, we booked for 4 hours. Then about 10 minutes before the last hour, you come out, can you put another hour in? You enjoyed it. A lot of times they did that. I mean, and we enjoyed it. I mean, every player I had really enjoyed it.
But we have to be able to look at what our capabilities are now, Vern. We don't have those capabilities as we get a little older.
Right.
You can't go out for like 4 hours, 5 hours. Physically, it's impossible.
I think that would kill me. I mean, it's just, I don't like to put it in that many words, but it's the truth. I mean, it's, you can only do so much, that's it.
And as we follow the doctor's orders, we also have to, be in tune with our bodies to know how much we can do or how much we can't.
Right.
Because, the body talks to us if we'll listen. The body will say, no, I don't think you can do that much.
Right.
You're not a spring chicken anymore. You can't do that.
Right.
So you got to cut back a little bit. You can do this, but you can't do it all anymore. Or not at one time.
Right. Yeah. And I see a lot of pills here. I mean, for different things.
Right.
I mean, and if they help, that's fine. I mean, you're ahead of the game that way.
Well, and the beauty of it too is, Vern, is that the different supplements and foods we have here, they won't hurt you. So if they don't do any good, the worst is they won't do any good, and they may help you, but they won't hurt you. Sometimes we look at some horrible things the doctors prescribe, which are very good and sometimes necessary to live, but sometimes they got the side effects. And the side effects aren't always pleasant for a lot of people. That's why you go back to taking care of yourself better.
Right.
You maybe don't have to get to the point where you have to use that.
Right. And your customers when they come in. Sometimes well, maybe you try this is better or what too,
Right. Or you may know something new came in that wasn't out there before. You might suggest to them that take a look at this. This might be beneficial for you, for your condition or whatever you have.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're not saying that you got to take it, but just think of it. And,
think about it, and here's some literature on it. Read up on it. It sounds like something you'd like to try.
And I know I've been in the store here quite a bit, and I know you've been helping a lot of people around here. I mean, and they come back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you want.
Yeah, you try to help them to help themselves, and we get a lot of satisfaction out of that. I mean, sure, we make a few dollars, but this real satisfaction is having somebody come back and say, well, we talked about this and I tried that, and I feel so much better. I mean, that
sure.
You can't put a dollar sign on that.
Well, yeah, right. And that makes a lot of difference. It's people they like to hear you. What you got to say about the stuff you got here.
And we've done a lot of reading over the years, and I went to a lot of classes on different things, and so I've got 40 years in it, so I just
Oh yeah.
a couple of my kids got nutrition minors and stuff like that. So they're well versed in it also.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You're sort of some like a doctor, like you mean?
Well, no. A consultant maybe or something.
Right.
Like
I mean,
a health consultant. Or something.
Right. Yeah. It's on a health basis instead of medicines or whatever. Yeah.
It's not a medicine thing, because then you'd have to be their pharmacist or doctor or something.
Right.
We're not that. So.
No. I mean, you get to help people. You think, boy, I'm really helping this one. I'm helping that one. I mean, it really goes a long ways. And
the hardest part is sometimes people come in and we don't know where to start.
Right.
So
then you're here to help them out.
So we have to sit down with them and kind of go through some things and talk about what the issues are, what they'd like to correct, what they'd like to change, and then we can suggest some things that we can.
Oh, sure. Yeah. How many employees you got here?
About 6.
Oh, you got 6?
Yeah. There's only a couple of us that are kind of full-time, the rest of them are part-time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I imagine you got to have, some part-time, I suppose, so they can come in and take the...
Yeah, some of them don't want to work full-time. They like, a couple of them are grandmothers, a couple ladies, and they'd like to spend some time with their grandchildren, and they don't want to work 5 days a week. They don't mind working 3 days or 2 days a week, but they don't want to work 5 days. And so that works good for us and for them both. They got time off to spend with their families and grandchildren, and they can help us out at the same time. And, I've got, the average employee here probably working, average probably 20 years. I mean, I've got a lot of longevity. In fact, I got one gal that worked for me back about 25 years ago, now she's come back to work.
Oh, yeah.
She's been out there, got her family raised, and now she's come back after about 25 years. She worked for me 25 years ago. So we have a good relationship with our employees. Yeah. Because we treat them like family. I mean,
oh, sure, you got to.
If they got something that comes up, we try to be understanding and say, well, you can't come in, your family comes first. So we'll work around that.
Oh, sure. Person's got there's always an outlook that you can see, that you can do things with them,
We treat people as we want to be treated, just like you do. I know.
That's it.
It's a golden rule, So if you live by that, things will kind of take care of themselves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know. I've been in quite a bit of businesses through the years, and you learn a lot.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You know when to give people advice or, a little bit. I mean, you're not really, into that, but, all depends on what business you're in, that you gotta,
you gotta be aware of what your customer needs and wants. Provide that for them as best you can in a friendly, genial way that they're happy to come in and, make them feel better when they come in. That's the name of the game. When they leave, they want to feel good about it.
Oh, sure. I know I worked with public all my life, ever since 16 years old. And I only had 2 jobs in my life. That was the cemetery and the city garage, street department.
Yes.
And I enjoyed it.
That's kind of unusual by today's standards. I think I'm afraid these poor younger kids coming up nowadays are going to have about a dozen jobs in their lifetime.
Yeah.
It isn't like it used to be, unfortunately.
Yeah. But see, when you do that, you can't get nothing built up. I mean, it's...
Right, and plus you get to know your fellow workers. About the time you get to know that, you get a good understanding. You may be onto something different. That's hard.
Oh, yes, it is. Okay, you got anything else to add?
I just want to thank you, Vern, and Public Access for their community spirit. Coming out in the community and all the good things you guys do and covering the different events in the community. And we appreciate that. It's very valuable service.
We appreciate it too, and right now I think I'm putting 100% in there, really. I mean, the way I'm going. I mean, taping every night in there, and I enjoy it. I mean, it's only an hour and a half at a time. That's just right for me.
and it's something that you love.
Yeah,
It's
right.
almost like a second thing to your music.
Right.
Yeah.
You meet a lot of people, a
Yeah.
lot of interesting people. I mean, you sit down, you like to hear their stories or whatever they got,
Where
It's
they
really
started,
amazing.
how they got there, and
Yeah.
it's little snippets of life that make life
Mhm.
interesting.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just close it up here. And it was nice talking to you, Mike.
Yeah,
And
same here.
I stop in every once in a while, check on you.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
Yeah, okay. Bye-bye now.